Christy, before we started this recording, we are talking about how people in tech that start their own businesses struggle to move
Oh,
away from the technical side and get into the business side.
mhm.
Can you share with me like one aspect that was really tough? I mean, you started your business 2 years ago. What's something you had to learn the hard way?
Yeah, the hard way was really how to talk to customers and like what kind of questions to ask them, but more so like whenever I present our solution to them, I need to make sure it's not just like features focused. Like I get too excited about sharing the coolest features we got, right? Like I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, look at this or look at that. But sometimes you just have to calm down a little and take a step back and share some of the benefits that they will be getting or some of the ROI potentially that they can get from by using the solution. So those are some of the mindset shift changes that I had to go through. And yeah, it was tough because I studied biomedical engineering. So, as engineers, like we love sharing technical stuff.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, why open a company? I mean, you had access to some of the biggest tech companies. I mean, I saw you were at AWS. You could have had a career there. You could have grown there, pretty decent pay. So why
Mhm.
did you decide to shift and start your own business?
Yeah, I think there's multiple reasons to that. First of all, so I graduated from University of Waterloo, and we have the co-op program, which is why I was able to work at, Amazon and other places as well. That experience allowed me to be more confident in having to start my own startup, like right after graduation as well, because I was able to get the corporate experience. And not only that, I was able to get experience to create my own business, like business skills and technical skills, how to work with people. All of that was coming from the co-op experience. So that really encouraged me to create my own startup. And the other aspect was I was genuinely just passionate about creating my particular startup, a patient companion. The reason being is technically, at first, it wasn't really supposed to be a startup. It was just, I'm just gonna create a solution for the nurses and the patients because I volunteer at a hospital
Mm.
and I've seen the pain points and the challenges they were going through every day. So I was like, okay, let me just start by creating a solution. And then we have like amazing ecosystem at Waterloo for startup support, like Velocity and Greenhouse. So I think through that ecosystem, I was able to realize like, okay, this actually could turn into a startup. So yeah, there were multiple reasons why I decided to start a startup.
And so can you talk to me about some of these pain points that you saw, and then maybe we'll shift to what you're trying to solve exactly.
Right. I mean, the main pain points, as a lot of countries face is shortage of nurses and shortage of healthcare professionals. It's really tough because, like the demand for it grows. Like we have a lot of patients, but not a lot of long-term care homes or not a lot of nurses to support the demand for patients, especially during like flu seasons and things like that. But even without it, like, sometimes the nursing ratios are not the best. Like, they should only be assigned to 3 to 4. While I sometimes talk to nurses and they're assigned to 5 or 6 or even 9, which is a lot. And
Nine
just imagine,
patients?
like, yeah, 9 patients.
Wow.
So imagine like the workload that you would be getting during your shift. It's a lot. And they're not getting paid enough for this too. So yeah, a lot of burnout, a lot of like workload. Um, and yeah, it's just really tough on the nurses and it reflects on patient experience as well because patients are getting care from the nurses most of the time when they get admitted to the hospitals, right? So it's really yeah, hard to kind of break into the cycle, but I mean, the government's really trying to help with that as well. Like, for example, like they were able to get more nursing students and things like that. So there are ways where the government and the system is trying to help with that, but there are other minor challenges and pain points that the nurses and other healthcare professionals are also facing.
So talk to me about the company. What is it exactly? And how are you trying to solve this? overloaded, overworked
Mhm.
nurses.
Yeah, essentially it's really a simple solution. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the nurse call bell systems in hospitals. Do you know?
Like literally, like someone just calls
Yeah.
them and they come.
Yeah, it's just a red button. I'm not sure if
Okay.
you've seen one. Yeah, it's
No.
just a single. Yeah, it's just a. I hope you don't get admitted to in hospitals. I hope you don't see it. But it's just a red button that patients click, a single button, and they click it when they need something, whether it's, a cup of water or they're in pain or they need help going to the washroom or moving in and out of bed, things like that. Anything they need help with, they press this button. And on the other side, nurses hear the alarm go off, right? And then the lights and everything too. So imagine the noise it creates, every 2 minutes for like a busy hospital and like the light, on top of other noises too. Like hospitals are pretty noisy, with a lot of the alarms, right? So nurses on their end are receiving not specified requests like alarms where they don't know what patient needs what. And going back to what I said about patient to staff or staff to patient ratios, like imagine you're assigned to 5 patients and like all of them are clicking on this button. You really don't know what they need, and you don't know which patient needs more urgent care versus someone who could potentially be waiting because they just need a blanket. I'm not saying like, blanket's not that important, but it's just compared to, let's say,
Yeah.
patient A is in pain, but patient
Mhm.
B needs blanket. Well, nurses don't know that until they actually walk into the room. So what we do is that we allow patients to specify exactly what they need, whether it's, blanket or pain, and the nurses will be able to see that before going into the room, and they can prioritize based on the urgency of the request, and they can delegate the request to the appropriate staff members. There are PCAs, HCAs, PSWs, volunteers on the same floor that are helping the nurses with non-urgent requests. So they're there to help them. It's just better delegation once you actually be able to see what the patients need ahead of time.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I never knew that. I thought like they kind of get at least some kind of information
Yeah.
about what each patient needs or requires. Because if you get like 10 calls,
Mhm.
which one do you prioritize? You just go one by
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, like I volunteer at a hospital and that's how it was. Sometimes the nurses are so busy with another patient, they actually don't get to attend the other patients or missed calls, or delayed calls. Yeah, that's just how it is. Like you really just don't know what they need um ahead of time using the call bells.
Yeah, this is crazy to me because
Hmm.
people have been talking about how overworked hospitals are.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's why. I mean, that's literally
Yeah.
why. I mean, even if they weren't overworked, the fact
Mm.
that they get a call and it could be anything,
Oh yeah.
it's just mentally exhausting.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I talked to the nurses and they're like, this is stressful
Yeah.
to for an unknowing request. Like, oh, is it a pain request? Like, is it a blanket request? Like that unknown black box it gives the mental strain as well.
I'm wondering, is that the situation in most or all hospitals? Is that how they operate?
Yeah, so for I mean, we've been validating in Canada here, so we've been talking to the nurses here and the US, Korea, and the Netherlands actually too, and most of the countries operate using the same single button. So yeah, I doubt, another country having something else. So yeah, it's most of the hospitals, same system, call button. And nurses really don't know. There is another option, like a pillow speaker, where patients get a microphone and they can actually talk into it. Like the mic is part of a remote, but that one sometimes the quality of the speaker's bad. Sometimes someone has to pick it up on the other end to receive the calls. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of complaints about that. We're hearing complaints about that as well.
Yeah. I mean, as a data guy, I find this horrible
Oh yeah,
to like
yeah.
just speak in a mic, for example, because nothing's logged, right? You're just basically calling someone.
Oh yeah,
And if
yeah.
they hear you, great. And if they misunderstood, That's another problem.
Oh
So
yeah.
a lot of issues can arise from this. So talk to me exactly. How do you solve this?
Yeah, so what we do is that it's right now we provide the software. Well, there are options for hardware, but mainly talking about the software piece, we provide big icons where patients are able to select from. Like we have pain icon, like water icon, and all of these icons are customizable depending on the department. They can easily click on this. And the reason why we have it so simple is because we want different patient demographics to be able to use our solution. We want it to be as accessible as possible. We're still working on it. There are some patient types that we're not able to accommodate. We are aware of that, so that's something that we really want to make sure accessibility is something down to the ground. But we want to essentially they can either press on these icons or they can type in what they need, like text messages as well. And we've been seeing a lot of like the younger demographics liking the texting option. And there's voice to text option as well. So we've been seeing more of the older demographics being or being able to use this. So when they just say something, we'll be able to translate what they say in English or whichever language the nurses prefer, and then we transcribe it as well. So yeah, that translation piece is something that we also want to focus on because there's so many patients, especially for Canada. It's such a diverse country. Like there are patients that cannot speak English or prefer another language as well. So yeah, we can translate all of our solution into multiple languages. And yeah, pressing simple icons, voice to text, or by texting.
And does it feed like some kind of general ledger which is reassigned to nurses, or does every nurse have like a predetermined, like I don't want to call it dashboard, but like some place where she can see or he can see the different different requests specifically to them?
Yeah, so it's two options. Like if the nurses want, so nurses, most nurses are assigned to specific patients during their shift. So if they have those pre-assigned patients, then they can go ahead and just see the pre-assigned patient, like, the assigned patients, I should say. But there are some unit types where they want to see all patient requests, regardless of my assigned patients or someone else's assigned patient. And the reason being is it creates a collaborative ecosystem actually, because nurses realize that I'm not the only one who's busy. So they want to help each other too, right? So when they see like my nurse is really busy, then they can actually help that patient if they just need something simple, things like that. So yeah, there's multiple options for it. And on the nurses side, yeah, we clearly show it on big dashboards, monitor, TV screens, workstation on wheels, which are these computers that they wheel around for recording patient information. And they also can view it on phones or tablets as well. So multiple options, very flexible for the nurses.
That sounds great, but how do you actually integrate in the existing infrastructure? Do you have to provide new things? Because you just mentioned that they have these monitors on wheels. So does
Mhm.
that already exist and you're
Yeah.
adding software, or do
Yes.
you have to like add it into their day-to-day?
No, no. So these are all existing hardware devices they already have. So we're not telling them to buy new hardware. They can use their pre-existing devices, whether it's monitors, workstation on wheels, tablets, or phones. We do have an option for phones. We can provide additional work phones to the nurses if they need, because we realize some units actually don't carry work phones. Same thing goes for TV monitors too, if that's something that you want, in addition to what they're currently using, that we're able to provide it. But it's totally optional and they get to choose what they want to do.
Is it an obstacle getting into the health industry? Because I know a lot of industries are hyper regulated. And
Yeah.
so if you want to get into a hospital,
Yeah.
is there like a big barrier of entry where you got to answer a lot of questions? I mean, I know you're not directly involved, you're not like selling a
Mhm.
medical injection or whatever it is,
Yeah.
but you're still in the ecosystem.
hmm
So there should be some kind of guardrails.
Yeah, for sure. Like we really want to be mindful of complying with security, privacy, because we understand that hospitals are carrying patient information, right? So, yeah, we already comply with the security and privacy acts that the hospitals provide. Like we make sure that we different hospitals sometimes have different requirements, and we follow every time. They would give us a set list of things that we need to comply with, and we make sure that we would comply. Um, Thankfully, we're not a medical device, so we're not classified as any of the classes, not even class one. So that makes it a little bit easier. And we also don't store patient information on our system. So it's less risk for the hospitals to adopt because we don't deal with patient information. So yeah, there are some ways we can go around it. To make sure that, we're fully compliant and also less risky for the hospitals to adopt.
All right, Chrissy, let me hit you with a tough one. All right, I'll
Okay.
be the devil's advocate.
All right.
Um, a lot of hospitals don't use wireless technology. Maybe
Hmm.
it's because they're have outdated tech or infrastructure, or maybe
Hmm.
they just want to stay away from it. Which one do
Yeah.
you think it is?
Well, all this goes fully against our company, but I'm just gonna say it because that's just how it is right now. It is true that wireless, it can be viewed as unstable. Like we need to make sure that the call bells are, 24/7 reliable. When patients need something like a urgent one or they're actually in emergency, this has to work. And I understand that if we do wireless, like it sometimes is not reliable all the time. So that's, I think, the biggest barriers and the challenges of why not just adopt a wireless solution. But having said that, like we're seeing a lot of trends in the wireless solutions as well, especially post-COVID, like that really the remote patient monitoring, that really set a tone for wireless solutions. But yeah, still working on it, and we are actually working on a hybrid model as well. So something wireless plus wire solution as well, just so that we can accommodate the needs of the hospitals and to fit in with the current infrastructure.
So after 2+ years, Christy, let me end with
Mhm.
this. What's been the most exciting part of having your own company?
Yeah, I think the most exciting part is when I see the actual users using Patient Companion, and they tell us that for patients, they're like, yes, this is much easier. I was able to get my requests a lot faster. And for nurses telling us, yeah, we're happier and this is great. Like just the simple fact that I'm able to see the requests before going into the room, it's making my lives easier because I don't have to make that extra trip. And these are like actual testimonials and feedback that we're getting from patients and nurses in hospitals. And it's just really rewarding because that's just how I started in. Like, I wanted to make a difference and make their lives a little bit easier, a little bit better. And yeah, this simple solution was able to do it. So, yeah, I'm just able to see, or I'm just happy that I'm able to see those patients and nurses be happy.
Well, great answer. Nurses
Mhm.
are happier, patients have a better experience.
Mhm.
All in all, I think you're doing good stuff, Christy. Thanks so much for sharing your story. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you. Mhm.